So it certainly seems like everything we do these days, it is great. When we're talking about the great resignation, we also have the great early retirement. That's right, retirement no longer starts at age 65. And that's something that I'm very mindful of as we have this conversation in the middle of 2022, this is the time that a lot of people start looking at, what's 2023 going to look like? And that's why I'm joined by Eric Brotman, the CEO of BFG Financial Advisors, who talks to a lot of audiences about educating employees on how to make benefits work for them. And that's what we want to do right now in the middle of the year. Eric, welcome to the program.
Shalom, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. So, Eric, I love to talk about the people behind the microphone. Eric, I know that you have been advising folks for over 25 years. Why did you get into this line of work in this industry? It seems like you have been very busy, my friend. And tell us a little bit about how you came into this world of financial guidance and advice.
I got into this business the traditional way. I studied English and psychology in undergraduate school and planned on law school and wound up in finance. So it was truly an accident. I actually am so glad that I wound up in this industry. I had worked for a brokerage firm in the legal department, fell in love with the financial world, and realized that it was important to be able to help people before a big crisis or a big decision point rather than only cleaning up a mess afterwards. So I got involved in 1994, and now close to 30 years later, we're working with clients across the country.
Okay, wow, fantastic. Quite a bit of background. And I know you're being modest over here because I know that you have had actionable financial advice that has appeared on many media outlets, including the Wall Street Journal, Forbes, Yahoo Finance, and the list goes on and on and on. But back to how we sort of started this conversation, the great early retirement. So what has changed? What has changed over the past decade? Why are people starting to look at retirement earlier?
Well, I think first we have to redefine what retirement is. Retirement used to be you spent 30 or 40 years with a company, you got a gold watch and a party, and then you went off and put your feet up, and 7 years later you were dead. And that's no longer the plan, thank goodness. And now we've got two generations, Gen Z and the millennials, both of whom realize, and this is now almost half the workforce, they both realized that we're all free agents. And that they coined the side hustle, years ago, and it's just now becoming so mainstream. So I think redefining retirement makes sense. Retirement is not quitting. It's not the absence of work. To me, retirement is a graduation to the next phase of life, and it's about financial independence. If you're working because it's something you love, that doesn't feel like work. That feels like passion. And so as far as I'm concerned, retirement is not the absence of work. It's the absence of needing to work.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I know that you talk about all of these topics in your book. It's called Don't Retire, Graduate, Building a Path to Financial Freedom and Retirement at Any Age. So let's talk about that. For our listeners that might be in their 30s, what steps should they be taking right now to start planning? And that's on the, call it personal and direct side. But then I really want to talk and gear this message to business owners as well, because I know you spend a lot of time teaching employers and teaching small business owners how they can set their people up for success as well. But back on the personal side, what should that small business owner or that professional in their mid-30s start to do to set them up for that new retirement reality?
I'm glad you asked that, and I'm glad you asked it that way, because the personal and the corporate side are inextricably linked. On the personal side, I think it's about putting together a life's vision, your own vision or mission plan, and not to be hokey, but to decide what you want to be when you grow up. And I don't care if you're 83. What do you want to be when you grow up? And of course, it's a trick question. I've been teaching my daughter not to grow up because adulting's a trap. But the reality is, if you can find things that you're passionate about, and you can figure out that who you are is not what you do for a living, it is what you're about and what you stand for and the difference you make, that changes the whole conversation. So if you're in your 30s, there's clearly some financial tips and techniques, and we talk a lot about them in the book about staying free from adverse debt and obviously making more than you spend and where to save it and how to invest and what financial independence looks like. But the path is really unique for each individual, and I think it's important to decide first who we are and who we want to be, and then figure out the math. The math is the easy part. Financial independence isn't hard. It just may not be something people are willing to do. But it's not difficult. The math isn't hard. The lifestyle choices can be difficult.
And before we get to the corporate side of things, I want to talk about you. Again, I'm chatting with Eric Brotman. And Eric, I know you, your hobby, you're an avid traveler. You call Maryland home. So how do you plan to graduate? How do you plan to graduate and sort of practice what you preach over here? What does retirement look like for you? Because I understand that I'm guessing with your passion, you're probably never going to completely put everything aside.
No, I wouldn't know what to do. I mean, I get bored in a 2-week vacation. It's got to be pretty stimulating or it's not going to happen. And that's not because I'm a workaholic. It's not that I work to live, you know. What it is it's an understanding that I'm constantly evolving. And what I want to be when I grow up, I want to do more consulting, I want to do more teaching, and I'd really like to change the world from a personal finance and a financial literacy standpoint. And so when I start thinking big, what I realize is I've been working with families now for 30 years, and I've also managed to help bring in other advisors and teach them how to work with families. And so we've worked with maybe 600 families across the globe right now, and that branches out to all their relationships. What I'd now like to do is I'd also like to bring this to other financial advisory firms. So I'm doing a lot more consulting and coaching and mentoring because I realize to reach as many people as possible, it requires messaging. It requires the podcasting and the publishing and the interviews, but it also requires getting financial advisors to think about retirement for their clients a very different way. So we're really looking to work on, I would like to work till I die, but not because I have to, just because I love it.
Yeah, my dad has said that for a long time, and he said that he wants to retire early, but retiring early means working till the day he dies, but working when he wants, where he wants, and with whom he wants. And I'm proud of him. I'll say this publicly for being able to do that, which is great. So again, chatting with Eric Brotman, talking about how the concept of retirement is pretty outdated, and he's the author of a great book. It's called Don't Retire, Graduate. But Eric, you've also written a couple of other books, including Retire Wealthy, the tools you need to help build lasting wealth, Debt-Free for Life, the tools you need to free yourself from debt and pay less taxes now, 4 strategies to help reduce your income taxes legally, being the key word. So Eric, what can people find if they pick up a copy of the book, which we will certainly link to through our website?
The book was written, first of all, it's written in the first person. It's very accessible. It's not a textbook. But it was built with the college curriculum in mind, that each chapter is really a course. So it's risk management 101 and cash management and debt management and investment management. And the reason that I did it that way is so you can really pick it up wherever you are in your life. If you're 23 or you're 63, you might want to pick it up at a different spot. So we liken each freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year to different stages of your financial life. So freshman year, those are programs about your first job and your employee benefits and getting started and dealing with student loans. And then we talk about sophomore year, which maybe is buying a house or getting married or having children. Junior year is about wealth building, but it's also about taxes. And then senior year is about estate planning and legacy and what you leave behind that's more important than money. And each chapter ends with a quiz and an extra credit assignment, because I don't know anyone who likes homework, so we do extra credit. And if you do the extra credit assignments, you will wind up with your own financial plan. And you will have done it yourself, and you will have fun doing it. And we actually put a workbook out that just takes all those extra credit assignments and makes them easier to work with, and has worksheets in it so that you can really do this yourself. And that way you can determine, if you want to do this completely DIY or if you want to work with a financial advisor or a team of people to help.
Well, you certainly piqued my interest. And again, the book, Don't Retire, Graduate, is a fantastic read. And as you said a moment ago, the personal and the corporate are certainly linked. And we didn't cover as much as I would have liked, but we are running out of time. And the best thing that I could say on the corporate side is that every business owner should pick up a copy of the book, Don't Retire, Graduate, because that's something that, as a business owner, as a entrepreneur, it's something that will basically provide your certification and fully fledged financial freedom and the option to work. And as I have said many times in this program, as a business owner, it's your responsibility to take care of the people within your organization, leave them better than you found them. And that's really, really important. So Eric, I've really enjoyed our conversation. I want to make sure all of our listeners can get in touch with you. Can you share your website and contact information?
Yeah, the best way to get us is at brotmanmedia.com, and you'll find our podcasts and books and links to the financial company, the consulting practice, and so forth. Brotmanmedia.com. That's your first step.
fantasticbrotmanmedia.com. Thank you so much, Eric, for joining us, and be sure to check in with us because I know you've already had a couple of books, and I know from talking to a lot of authors where there's two, there's three. Where there's three, there's probably going to be five. So check back in with us. I look forward to following all of the advice that you have to share. Eric Brotman, thank you so much for joining us on Get It Down to Business. We've got to squeeze in a quick break, some headlines, commercials. We'll be right back after this quick break. Don't touch that dial. You're listening to Get Down to Business.